The Tanganyika laughter epidemic of 1962, a mysterious and unexplained outbreak. The Tanganyika laughter epidemic of 1962 is one of the most peculiar events in the history of psychological outbreaks, baffling both the medical community and the public alike. It was a sudden and inexplicable episode of uncontrollable laughter that affected hundreds of people in the region of Tanganyika, modern-day Tanzania. The laughter spread from person to person, initially in a school, and over the course of several months, it evolved into a full-fledged epidemic, leading to serious consequences for the affected communities. While laughter may seem harmless, this particular outbreak caused a range of psychological and physical issues, including anxiety, exhaustion, and even the shutdown of schools and businesses. The epidemic began in January 1962 in a boarding school for girls in the village of Kashasha near Lake Tanganyika. It started with a small group of students who began laughing uncontrollably. At first, the laughter seemed like a harmless, if unusual, outburst. However, the laughter was not confined to a few students. Within days, the laughter spread to other students and faculty members. Over the following weeks, the laughter became more frequent and intense, often lasting for hours at a time. In some cases, the laughter was accompanied by symptoms such as crying, fainting, and severe emotional distress. Eventually, the laughing epidemic spread to nearby villages, affecting hundreds of people. The authorities were completely at a loss as to how to explain or control the phenomenon. No physical illness was identified and there were no clear signs of an infectious cause. The laughter was not induced by any form of external stimulus, such as jokes or humor, which typically triggers laughter. Instead, it appeared to happen spontaneously and for no apparent reason. As the number of people affected grew, the epidemic began to disrupt daily life in the affected areas. Schools were forced to close, businesses shut down, and normal social activities were paralyzed. One of the most perplexing aspects of the epidemic was the way it spread. In some cases, the laughter was triggered by a single individual, who would start laughing uncontrollably, and then others around them would join in, unable to stop. It spread through imitation, as those who were not initially affected by the laughter were eventually pulled into the contagious outbreak. The laughter would persist for hours, with some sufferers unable to regain control over their emotions. The epidemic of laughter continued for several months, eventually subsiding on its own. By the time it ended, it had affected thousands of people. In total, over 1,000 people were reported to have been impacted by the laughter epidemic in the Tanganyika region. The incident faded from the public eye as the outbreak finally ended, but its unusual nature has intrigued psychologists, medical professionals, and historians ever since. Over the years, several theories have been proposed to explain the cause of the Tanganyika laughter epidemic. One theory is that the laughter was a form of mass hysteria, a psychological phenomenon in which a group of people experience similar symptoms due to stress, anxiety, or social pressure. The region of Tanganyika had recently gained independence from colonial rule, and the social, political, and economic upheaval during this time may have contributed to a collective psychological breakdown. Additionally, the incident occurred shortly after the region faced significant hardships, including food shortages and disease, which may have further exacerbated stress levels. Another theory suggests that the epidemic could have been triggered by a virus or bacteria affecting the nervous system. Some researchers have pointed to the possibility of a neurological disorder or a form of encephalitis that could have caused uncontrollable laughter. However, no definitive medical cause has ever been identified, and no evidence of a viral outbreak or neurological infection was found in the affected population. A more recent theory speculates that the epidemic may have been triggered by a rare form of mass psychogenic illness or mass sociogenic illness, a condition in which groups of people develop similar symptoms without any apparent physical cause. This type of illness is often triggered by environmental factors, such as stress or fear, and can spread through social interaction. The contagious nature of the laughter epidemic suggests that it may have been a form of collective psychological distress that was amplified by social contagion. Despite the many theories, the true cause of the Tanganyika laughter epidemic remains a mystery. The event is often cited as a classic example of mass hysteria, a phenomenon in which a group of people collectively experiences a psychological disorder, typically due to stress or social pressure. While laughter itself is a natural response to humor or joy, in this case, it became a symptom of something much more unsettling. The epidemic raises important questions about the power of the mind and how psychological states can spread through communities in ways that are difficult to predict or control. In the end, the Tanganyika laughter epidemic serves as a reminder of the complexity of human behavior and the mysteries of the human mind. While we may never know exactly what caused the epidemic, it remains a fascinating chapter in the history of psychological phenomena, illustrating how collective stress and psychological distress can manifest in ways that defy explanation. Subscribe.